Check, check.
Yo, we good on the cameras?
Hello.
Nice. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much.
You want to tell them about the surprise?
The big surprise that Josh Melvy's going to break
This
dance?
is not a talk. It's a rap concert. So everybody put your hands in the air. Wave them side to side. That's all I got for you.
Thank you, Neil. Yeah,
Hey,
thanks for
okay.
everyone.
I'm not ready.
No. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Mike's good? Everyone good? Nice. There's some people here who've never been here. Welcome to the Combine. Thanks for coming. Bathrooms are that way. If you just go that way, you'll find them. And drinks, help yourself. Everyone can come and go as they please. This should take, I don't know, about an hour?
Sure.
How you doing, Pete?
I'm great.
Yeah? You talk on the mic a lot? I know you're often behind the wheels.
I mean, I'm getting used to it, but I'm more of a behind the scenes guy, especially when I was DJing and never really talked on the mic like that, but
That adds up.
yeah, we'll get into that later.
Beauty. Yeah, so today, what are we looking at? This is part of our Labnotes session for the Combine. And today, yeah, we're talking with DJ P+, Sean. What do you go by Sean if you introduce?
I go by Sean now.
Yeah.
I don't really DJ as much, but everyone in the office, well, I mean, for those who don't know, I worked here for, and I mean, we still have to confirm 9 years. I'm going to share that story, but everyone called me P here,
Yeah.
so that was kind of cool.
I'll probably still call you that, but Sean to the world. So the plan today is, I mean, we're going to start probably 3 sections. First section is like getting into Sean's story. Next section is being a professional DJ, what that was all about. And then the third section, really the meat of it is like you switch lanes. So it's creative careers from professional DJ into, you know, basically running an agency. So how did you switch lanes? That's going to be sort of the bulk of this. And I actually love that topic of like switching lanes creatively. Actually, speaking of Amin, one of my favorite Amin quotes is, which blew my mind. One time he said, "No one expects this to be your last job." I was like, whoa, okay, that's crazy, because there's like a bit of a drink the Kool-Aid thing here at One Method. Laughs. But the fact that it's like part of our DNA is like people expect you to not be here forever, and you came here, gave us stuff, learned stuff, and then you took off, and I've just been killing it, so I'm excited for that.
To my surprise, by the way, but we'll get into that too.
Nice. You want to know my least favorite Amin quote? He once told me he was embarrassed by my fashion sense.
I won't comment on that.
He was being sincere too. Okay, so, but before we get into your story and stuff, how you doing today? Is it good to be back?
I mean, I still have a lot of relationships with a lot of people, whether they're not, like they're here or they're not here, so I kind of feel like I'm at home again. Like Michelle was my boss for the longest time. I still talk to her. I still talk to Julie and Katie, Jamie. I talk to everyone. I've done 3 weddings. I did your wedding. I did Hot's wedding. I did your wedding. So, I mean...
You forgot his name, though.
Yeah, I feel like I'm here for life, even though I left.
Nice. And what'd you get up to today? What'd you do before here?
Closing deals.
Closing deals. Okay, all right. And then, I mean, maybe we'll get there, but like, what have you been working on lately, just to give maybe some context? I tried to hit you last week and you were in New York. So
Yeah.
I don't even know what you're doing there.
So I'm not sure if anyone knows. I mean, we'll get into all this, but Kith is a major clothing brand in New York, and that's like one of my biggest clients. So I work with them, do a lot of their digital stuff.
That's
and
sick.
Then there's another group called Earn Your Leisure, and they basically do financial literacy for the underserved youth. They have like 1.4 million followers, and they're coming in on April. So we're doing a bunch of stuff with them, and it's just been a crazy ride.
That's amazing. Kith, I think, just opened a new store, Miami. Did you do that stuff for them or no?
No, I mean, we did some of the assets, but there's a lot of stores opening, which I can't really get into. But yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of things happening with them.
That's really,
They're
really cool. All right, man, that sounds exciting. But let's, actually, one more thing before we go back. Every Labnotes, we start with the same thing. Will you host a Labnote session? Everyone here, anyone watching online, will you host a Labnote session? In the past, we've done how to start your own agency. Amin wrote that one. How to do graffiti. We've done how to take a killer iPhone photo. We should do that one again. That one was sick.
I should watch How to Start an Agency.
Let's do that one
'cause I'm
again.
still trying to figure that out.
Okay. Amin. Oh, I can give you the deck. I can
Yeah,
give you the
please.
closest. But yeah, if you're watching this and you're like, oh, maybe you're not a professional DJ, but there's probably something you could actually, some layer of creativity you could share with the world. Oh, we would love it. So please hit me up. But with that, let's go back. P, where are you from? Scarborough? Is that right? No.
I'm originally from Drain and Trethewey, which is
Okay.
like Black Creek, and then I moved to Brampton.
And never Scarborough? Did I make that up?
No, I'm not from Scarborough. No shade to Scarborough. I have some friends who are here from Scarborough. I'll leave them nameless, but like Jester. But yeah, I'm not from Scarborough. No.
Shit. Okay. And what was?
Not all black people are from Scarborough, Max.
That's gonna be like that. Fuck. Okay. But what was like growing up? What was childhood like for you? Family? You got siblings? You were just on the phone with your sister?
I'm the oldest of 7 kids. And my home was very musical. My dad is a DJ. He's like they call like an old foot reggae DJ, and he's still
flirt
foot. They call it like an
Old
old
foot.
foot. Like he's like a very old DJ. Still DJs at parties now, and that's kind of where I got my DJing from. And my parents used to make me go and like pick records because they were like lazy. So they'd be like, put on these records, almost like think of a Spotify playlist, but instead of a playlist, they're making you go and pick the music. So that's kind of how I got heavily involved with music, and I would say I've been picking records since I was 7, to the point where if you even pull up a label and maybe you cover part of it, on point, I like that. But yeah, you cover part of a label, I could probably tell you what label it is or possibly what the track is, because that's how much music is involved in my life.
What were some of those records in the collection? Everything, or were there
I'm
specific
talking
lane?
like everything from like oldies to rock music to like funk, jazz, blues, everything.
Wild. And then 6 siblings. So what was that like growing up? You were the oldest?
I was like, a bit of a bully to my sisters and brothers, but now we're really close, and I feel like, that's like my lifeline right there, is my siblings.
And they're Toronto, all of them? Or
Yeah,
mixed
everyone's
up?
here.
No way. I've met your dad, but I don't think I've met anyone else in your fam.
You met my dad?
Yeah, you brought him by the office one time.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. That's cool. And then music. So, like basically right from day one, you were into music and into spinning, obviously too. Yeah. Any other musical inclinations? Like, did you play any instruments? Any other sides of music?
That's actually a good question. So I used to be heavy into church. Like I grew up in church, and I used to play the drums. I was a horrible drummer, but I think that really lent to my ear in terms of why I like music so much. Because you think of anyone who's a great hip hop producer, that's usually levied from church. Like think of Jay Dilla. His parents were heavily into gospel music, and to me, I think he's one of the best producers ever, and a lot of that's from gospel. So, yeah.
I got a Dilla image in here later. Bug you about that. But then what about like any other hobbies outside of music? What were you into as just little dude running around?
I wouldn't say hobbies. I think you dabble in everything. I used to try skateboarding. I was like an okay skateboarder, and I used to like hockey, but I think DJing was my main thing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You friends with people from back in your old neighborhood? Or not really?
For sure.
Yeah, still?
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool.
I would say my life is really on having very long-term relationships. So if you cross my path and I think we're cool, you're probably still in my life.
Nice.
For sure.
And then back to DJing. So when did that start at day one? When was like...
I would say I officially picked the name in 1990.
DJP Plus.
Yeah. And
Been in this game for years.
I love that. So you want to hear the story about that? It's pretty simple.
100%, yeah.
I got a B+ in math, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. It's my first time getting a B+. I think I was doing calculus in like grade 6, something crazy, because I actually majored math in university, by the way. I wanted to be a doctor, which nobody knows, but that obviously didn't work out because I don't like doing homework. So anyway, yeah. I got a B+ in math. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. I turn the name B+ into P+, and that's how I chose my name. It's that simple.
P because your last name?
Yeah.
Okay. Sick. Sean Pennock, for those paying attention. And then, so that's 1990. But at that point, you got like 2 turntables and a mixer.
No, I stole my dad's turntable, and I used to DJ on the carpet with a dusty mixer and his broken belt drive turntable.
Crazy. And that's 1990, so
Yeah.
pretty much big golden era hip hop. You had hip hop
sure.
records, or you're just scratching his stuff?
No, you had hip hop
Or
records.
he had hip hop stuff too. Oh, amazing.
No, sorry, I had to have hip hop records. He didn't have
Okay.
any. I had records.
That's okay. So you'd pick up. What were some of those?
But I was
early-
like stealing his records.
yeah,
To
mixing it.
yeah, and trying to mix things. You know, you probably have a crate of records back then. You're kind of starting out, and then slowly you're building your collection. But I would say in the 90s, I probably had maybe 1 or 2 crates.
Nice. And then what about like turntablism, like versus mixing and
How did
rocking
I
a
get
party?
into that? I think I was always interested in scratching, but kind of it's crazy that you're bringing me here because growing up, I actually grew up with Junior Flow and M Rock, and this is before. Do you know who they are? Does anyone know who Junior Flow is? Does anyone know who is what's the
M Rock would be
What's
Drake.
the group that? Anyone know Keys and Crates? Okay, so here we go. So I grew up with the DJ for Keys and Crates. His name is Junior Flow, and he would come to my house to like DJ, but we had one turntable. But just kind of growing up, and then he started getting better, and I was just around that whole turntablism kind of scene.
Yeah.
And then just naturally got into it. But I just thought that's what DJs did. I didn't realize that was a separate kind of thing from being in the club. I just thought if you wanted to be a good DJ, you needed to apply the art of turntablism.
Right.
And
That makes sense.
Obviously, he's where he is right now. But yeah, he used to come over to my mom's house and we'd be DJing on the floor.
That's crazy. And then how to get into gigs, like or getting paid or what, or
That's
get on the radio. Like what
that's like
was
a
the
long
transition?
story. I'll try to get into it really quickly. So I went to York, and then that's how I got on that radio station. And then the guys that were at
CIUT?
York, no, that would be CHRY,
CHRY. Okay.
right, at York. Then the guys that were there were like, hey, we're going to take over the Power Move show, which is 88.1. Went there. And then from 88.1, they were like, hey, we want to start a hip-hop show on Flow 93.5. Went to Flow 93.5, was there, and then starting from scratch was the main DJ. He got tired of doing his 12 o'clock slot. He gave it to me, and then my career kind of took off. And there's more stories behind that. Like I did one party that really kind of blew my name up, but that's kind of my radio path.
And to bring it to my world is in high school, I listened to Power Move every weekend, every Saturday afternoon, right?
Yeah, it was Saturday afternoon, 1 to 4.
And then was Real Frequency after? Or
Yes,
the next?
we
or-
took over from Power Move.
Gotcha. So yeah, I would record that. I had a 120-minute cassette tape. I taped it every weekend. I taped that, and then Stylistic Endeavors Friday night, DJ Sirius. That was my life, but I had no idea who you were, and then we just met.
But you heard the show, right? Like Real Frequency.
I never went to it.
But did you hear like the radio show?
Yeah. Oh, I listened to it all the time. Yeah, that's why. And then meeting you was so crazy because that was such a huge part of my childhood. But so that was radio was first, or was there other paying gigs or like shows?
So
or?
there's kind of like a side story. So as I was DJing, and I'm not sure if you remember this. So there was one party specifically where it was 2001, August 25th, the day Aaliyah died. 2,000 people in the club. I didn't know she passed away yet. So everyone was kind of feeling emotional. And then I was about to go on stage, probably my biggest gig ever. And then I just had like the most amazing set. Like when people still talk about this set to this day, and I was DJing with DJ Pete Rock. And it just totally changed my life. From then, I was like meeting people, I was getting different looks. And I think that one gig, and it's crazy because I was going to parties and so many other DJs at the time who were already like excelling. But you know, you're still trying to just make your thing and stay consistent. So literally from 1993 until 2001, I became like kind of like an official name, but it took that long to really work on. You know, nowadays anyone can just get a laptop, put some music on, and you become a DJ, right? But it really took me that long to really grind it out, and it's very similar to my story here. Just you know, being at one method, not knowing anything, and then just putting me in, and then again 9 years of just really grinding it out. So that's kind of my life cycle in a sense, just always on the grind.
I don't think I ever knew the Pete Rock story. How'd you get on the bill with Pete Rock? Like it just
I don't even
it just
know.
happened?
Click put me on, and then yeah, he put me on the gig. This guy named Click, he put me on, and that one gig changed my life.
That's absolutely crazy. So then you're pro DJ. How does that even work? Like, what's your day to day? What's your goal? Are you trying to like?
All I did was, so the minute I got to Flow, I kind of changed my life. All I did was DJ. I would get up in the morning. I would like dig for records. I would go to the station. I would be at the station, dig music, and because this is what my friends are doing. So one of the DJs I looked up to was starting from scratch, and I just saw like he was really successful at the time, and I'm like, okay, what is he doing? And all he did was music. He didn't do anything else. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm assuming this is what I have to do, just be more dedicated. And then from then, another life-changing moment. So all I did was dig music. I was serious about DJing, serious about my gigs, serious about working on my craft, and I did that maybe with like 1 hour of sleep. And at this point, I'm an adult, but that's all I did.
You are notorious for not sleeping when we'd work on projects.
And that's completely changed now.
Oh, yeah? Now that you got kids, you sleep?
No, sleeping's healthy. We should encourage sleep. We need recovery, we need sleep, for sure.
Yeah, we'd be working on projects and you'd send fucked up emails at like 3
Yeah,
a.m.
no, that's
of like, here's a new edit. I'm like, well,
That's
you're not getting
completely
any
changed.
of my thoughts till at least 9 a.m.
I was a super slow editor, that's the truth.
I mean, you had the speed. You had your speed.
Yeah.
P speed. Let's talk like highs and lows from that era. Pete Rock, huge high.
Yeah.
What else? Like I know you once told me you went on tour with Obi Trice.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
What else? Drake. I
Yeah,
know you were there at his come up. Like
Okay, so I'm credited as being the first radio DJ to play his music. But this is a funny story again. So we're at a party with Shanae. She gave me a CD, and it was some random record. This is before any of his albums. This is before, what's the first album again?
So Far Gone?
No. Room for Improvement is the very first mixtape. Some random tape, and I heard it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So then she's like, oh, this guy Drake is gonna come and visit you at the station because he wasn't getting his music played, whatever. And I'm like, dude, I think you're amazing. He's like, oh, no one will take me seriously because I'm on Degrassi. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I've never watched Degrassi, but I think you're fucking amazing. Sorry for swearing. I think you're great. And yeah, there's many stories about Drake, but that guy's been incredible. He's been, I would say I called it from day one. He's amazing. And I have actually one more story. So anyone remember MySpace? So this is how I knew he was destined for greatness. So he put me in the My 8. Remember you have your favorite My 8? So he put me in his My 8, and I was getting 150 messages a day. I didn't know that there was a message cap. Like I had no idea. So I was getting 150 messages a day from little girls and boys being like, oh my gosh, you're on Drake's My 8. That must mean something. You're awesome. I want to be your friend. And I'm like, okay, this is strange. But that's just one of the many Drake stories. But he literally was destined for greatness.
I would put you in My 8 today.
Thank you.
Like 100%.
Yeah.
That's like a no-brainer. What else? Like, I mean, my favorite story through you, like warming my hands on your fire, was you're friends with Cardinal.
Of course, of
Official.
course. That guy's the best human in the world.
He was on the Juno, so I just thought of
He's
this
one
recently.
of the best humans in the world. Like, there's no one like him. He's such a unique human.
Yeah, I don't think we've talked about this since that day, but
Yeah.
so we came up with the concept for we're doing a video for our clothing line, trying to promote our clothing line, and it was like, oh, it'd be great if we could get some like legit Toronto names on this. Name Cardi comes up, you're like, oh yeah, I can hit up Cardi. Oh shit, okay, so you just the way P Plus works is if you ask him to do something, he just pulls out his phone, he does it. There's no delay. So you literally just called him up and you were trying to pitch him the concept and you like wasn't coming out right. You're like, Max, just you do it. So you put him on speaker. We're at the old office in the back where the grass was. Do you remember this at all?
Remember
or no?
that? Yeah, yeah.
He's like, you pitch it. So I start telling him this concept and it's about, he has to like lip sync a Beatles song. And he's just being like, okay. And at the end he goes, yeah, I'll do it. And then he goes, P, are you still there? And you're still on speaker, and you're like, yeah. He's like, just so you know, you get one favor like this. Is this what you want to use it for? And you look at me, and you're like, and I was like, no. And the video did not do well. It was like the right move to not pull the favor on that one. You can still watch that.
Yeah,
video.
but no, he's honestly, I think just, I really want to shout him out though, just a testament of who he is. He's the kind of guy, if you ever need anything, and to me, he's a star, right? So you wouldn't expect you'd have access to a guy, but he's the kind of guy, if you call him, and if you're friends with him, he'll drop whatever he's doing to like visit your family or check you out. And a lot of times I'm like, I'll call him just to be like, hey, do you need anything? Like randomly, are you okay? Like, do you need something? Because he's that kind of human, he's special. Special guy.
That's sick. I mean, it was a huge moment for me because I was a fan of him since like Rap Essentials. Like,
Yeah.
that was like mid-90s. Naughty Dread, I think, is the song on it.
We're aging ourselves right now.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of people are like, what are you guys talking about right now?
Yeah, but that was huge, and I remember it was so funny. What else? What else you got? Lows? So these are all highs. Any lows when you were DJing? Like anything you look back on that wasn't the best?
So I've never really admitted this before. I think my one low was when I was on radio and they started making me play pop music. So the way the mixes were before was it was almost like this very free flowing art. And that's what really attracted, like that was my DJing style. So it really fit. And it wasn't a job. Like it was, I can't, like imagine you're doing something. Does anyone like cake? Like, do you know that that feeling you get when you eat a nice piece of cake? You're like, wow, this tastes amazing. That's what DJing on radio was like.
You do love sweets.
I do, right? And then the station started getting bought, and then they started being like, hey, you need to play this. It'd be like, play Miley Cyrus and play that. And then when that started happening, I was just like, that would be like my lowest point in radio. And then I just left. And I'm talking like I'm in radio, I'm not gonna put the number, like put it like 6 figures, DJing on radio, and I'm like, I just walked away because I couldn't do it.
Did that maybe help prepare you for this other creative industry though? Where
No,
you're like,
I was doing it full time. Can we get into that story?
Which one?
The story on how I got here? Because that's an
let's
amazing
go there
story.
right now.
But I was doing both. I was on radio and here at the same time for a while, like 3 years.
Well, let's talk about even what made you jump into that lane. So you're DJing, you're a well-known name.
I didn't have a choice, to be honest. I didn't.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Okay, so here, more story time. So we were pitching for Svedka. Well, I just had camera gear, and I was just playing around with gear. And then a minute approached me. I hadn't been working.
Let's even talk about that. Like, why did you buy a camera? Like, what led? You're like a killer DJ. You're killing it in
There's
my
a story
mind.
about that.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, I remember meeting you one day, and you're like, "Oh, you get into photos." We had our first ever La Carnita pop-up. You were walking around taking photos. No one was paying you. I don't even know.
No, I was not gonna pay.
Like, how did that all happen? Why did you buy a camera? What got you into that?
I should organize these stories, but it's another story. So when there was an earthquake in Haiti, I decided to go down and build a school. So I set up a video gaming tournament. I raised, $17,000. I gave 100 proceeds of the money to the earthquake efforts in Haiti. And then Rogers gave me kind of one of the first camera phones. At the time, it was like an HD phone. And then I took pictures with it. And then the minute I took pictures, I fell in love with photography. Landed back in Montreal, bought a 2 Ti, and then the rest is history. I got the photography bug.
And so
Sony. Oh, you remember? Yeah, it was a Sony. Yeah, Sony.
I knew you'd fact check. I knew it right when you came in. But then were you like just following your passion, or were you like getting tired of spinning pop music and trying to think of?
I think anyone who picks up a camera, that's typically the story. You pick up a camera, you get a bug, and then you go down a dark path of spending all your money on lenses and camera gear. I think that's how it goes for everyone. And Min caught it too. He had camera gear he before anyone, right? So I think that was the standard thing. But my love for photography came from seeing those images captured at Haiti, which I still have. And I saw a lot of destruction. I saw a lot of hurt people and things that I just didn't expect to see. And this kind of changed my life on how I look at things.
That's great. That's wild, and I never knew any of that. I just saw you at the end of that, just sitting around with a camera, being like, I'm trying to make this thing happen. And to me, it was confusing because I'm a hip hop nerd, seeing, in my mind, Legend just being like, pushing that to the side. So then, did you have a plan? Were you like, how I'm going to get this career going, or were you just fumbling forward, taking photos?
So this is a very important part of the story. So we were pitching for Svedka. And mind you, I would like be determined like a one method rat. I wasn't working here. I was just thought the office was cool, and I was just hanging out from the original office on Liberty to King Street. I was just there. I was just like, hey, I just want to be here. I love this place. It's cool. And this is for years. I'm coming by. Amin built my website. I'm just always in the office. And then we're pitching for Svedka. The merger between Ben Simon and One Method had just happened, I think, that year. So then Emin's like, hey, man, I know you have a bunch of cool gear. Can we borrow it? And I'm like, I'll do you one better. I'll film it. So then Emin's like, bet. There's a briefing right now. So we go, I don't know anything about agency life. I don't know anything about nothing. We go into the meeting, and then we're having this meeting, and then David Rosenberg's like, hey, you guys know what's cool. I just have one request. Am I allowed to swear, by the way? I don't want any fucking dubstep in the music. I fucking hate that genre. And I was like, oh, you hate dubstep? Dubstep's so cool. And then Min looked at me, and I'm like, you know we're doing dubstep, right? So then we did the mashup of
Day and Night.
Day and
No,
Night
yeah.
with the dubstep remix.
Pursuit of Happiness. Oh no, Day and Night. Not
Was it Day and Night?
Pursuit of
Yeah,
Happiness?
yeah, we did that. We did that. Pienta did the edit. I helped him do the thing. The video was fucking killer. We won the business. And then, so Min doesn't know, I know this part of the story. So apparently there was a meeting in the office with like the execs, I think Jack and some of the other people. And then Jack was like, hey, who filmed this video? And he's like, oh, my guy filmed it. Then I'm obviously One Method rat. I'm in the office hanging out. He's like, sign this paper. And I'm like, what is this? You're gonna work here. I'm like, cool. And I signed. He's like, what do you want your email to be? And I'm like, I don't know. It's not like you can make it p+@onemethod.com. He's like, the fuck I can. And then it was +@OneMethod, and everyone in the office is calling me Plus, but that's the story because Amin made it happen. So that's how I got into this life. But I wasn't like, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna try to be a creative or anything like that. That's how it happened.
That's amazing. I'm in fact check. Okay. And then, so then you're doing both things? We're about to get into your
sure.
10.
I was still on radio, and then I was here. So, but what was good is I just had to mail my mixes in, so I didn't have to be on the radio station anymore.
I remember that every morning.
Yeah, I was mailing my mixes in. And I was doing 7 mixes a day.
And then, we're going to touch on some of this for your, you've got 10 rules for remixing your career that you've now learned, but was it tough where you had really established brand over here and then absolutely starting from the bottom over here?
I think that's an interesting question because looking back now, I think I'm glad Amin took a chance on me, if I'm being honest. I told him I'd pay homage to him because I wasn't good. I wasn't good at being for the job. This is because now that I have my own company, I deal with, I'm looking at my younger self, at younger guys now, and the problem is they're just not good, and then they think they know things, or they're bringing in their ego. So now when I look back at it, I just think this guy took a chance on me, and I was able to grow, but it was definitely hard because I'm around you, I'm around guys who are amazing. Kevin Young just a bunch of amazing guys. Rob had left at the time, and you're like, holy shit. It's like, imagine you're some kind of Bush League basketball player, and the guy's like, hey, come to the NBA and play some basketball. Of course, that's going to be very, I don't know, what's the word, intimidating? But I stuck with it, and it worked out, luckily.
That was tough when the guy who you just mentioned, Rob, very talented videographer, editor. When he left, we were like, all right, P. Everyone was looking at you like, you gotta be the sickest ever. And that was a tough spot. But okay, so it's interesting. I didn't know that it wasn't necessarily by design that you were like, I need to switch from this lane to this lane. No. But now looking back, you clearly did that. And it was a struggle.
It was a struggle. And I think that's because I wasn't prepared. And even when I think about so many, I have one of my, I think my superpowers is my memory. I have a very sharp memory. So I remember Jumper and just this little kid, but he's this kind of kid genius. And you're like, wow, you want to step up your skills. But I think just being around just really helped me grow. But it took a long time. So it wasn't a smooth transition for sure.
Gotcha. But now looking back, I challenged you to think of what are some rules or tips you could give anyone who might want to switch their lanes, going from one creative career to another. And you came up with 10. So I'm gonna run. Oh yeah. Thanks, Neil.
Man, he's on point.
Yeah, he's got it. Now you sent them to me.
Wait, super side note. I think that would be awesome for like if I'm arguing with my wife, if you could just like drop in a track. We're gonna talk about that offline. That's pretty dope. Anyway, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, Neil's up for it. So yeah, you start with the quotes. You hit me with 10 quotes. Like 4 of them were just straight up hip hop quotes. So I was putting up hip hop images behind them, but you haven't seen any of these images, and I put a bunch up. So we'll probably talk about those. So your first one, your first rule for remixing your career was be, do, have. And do you know why that image is there?
Yeah.
This is quiz time.
Common?
Yeah, but why? Common?
Oh, Common B, the album.
And that's from the video. There you go. Produced by Holt and Kanye. Before, it was like golden era Kanye.
Yeah, but the best one is like Water for Chocolate, obviously, Jay Dilla.
Dilla's the next slide, so just hang on
okay.
there. Okay, but let's talk about
Just
Be
putting
Do
that
Have.
out there.
Let's talk about, I think Dilla's on this album actually though.
Probably, I think one, because he was sick at that point. He was
got
really
a credit.
sick.
Yeah. So Be Do Have, what does that mean?
Does anyone know who Jim Fortin is? Has anyone heard of Jim Fortin? Anyone? Okay, so he came up with this term, be to have. So a lot of people, and these are words I live by, I'm constantly growing, this is something I learned. So a lot of people think in order to have something, if they, let's say I'm like, oh, I want to be a great videographer, but I can't be a great videographer because I do not have a camera. So then if I have an amazing camera, then I'll do videoing, and then I'll be a videographer. Instead of just switching the mindset. It's like, no, I'm an amazing videographer because that's what's inside of me. And if I do the things that allow me to be that and manifest my mindset, then I'll have the things I want via being an amazing videographer.
I'd never heard that, and I loved it. You told it to me, or I read this 2 days ago, and I was like, oh shit. I think often, even just starting with have, that's what I want. I want to have, and then you work from there. But this is like, no, focus on what you're going to be to jump off it. I thought that was really, really cool. And is this the person who said that? They're an author or
he's a guy that works on like mind transformation and brain habits, and his name's Jim Fortin. And I took his course. He's super awesome.
Cool. I'll put we'll do like a blog post for this, and we'll throw a link into that. Okay, number 2.
Number 2.
Got it. That's Dilla. It's hard to see what he's holding.
He's holding Little Brother album.
Which is titled, or this is like getting Nardwuar-esque.
I know it's a little bit, the listening. He's holding the listening.
There you go. So listen.
And I don't know what the second one is.
Is Dilla your number 1?
My favorite producer of all time.
Okay.
The best. He's every hip-hop's favorite producer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, what does this mean?
Well, I think now that I'm kind of, like I have people, so I have 11 employees, and a lot of times, a lot of my struggles, even in my work, is just, I look back at the struggles I had here. I remember you guys having to bring me to the office and be like, man, P, you're not listening, like you're working on this creative, but you have to think
I
of
don't
the
remember
client
saying
first.
that.
Oh, there was a ton of times, there was a ton. But I think now when I look back, I think one of the things I would have done is spend more time listening and just soaking in more game. Like obviously I learned a lot here, but I'm like, man, I wish I spent more time like listening and humbling myself and really soaking in more, because there's so much I'm learning, and I probably could have learned faster if I just listened. But that's kind of what made the hard transition from being a semi-successful DJ to a guy bringing coffee on set. Can you imagine that? Like for years, you guys would be having like all these big sets, and I'll be the guy just bringing coffee or bringing donuts. And I'm like, man, I want to be behind the camera, but clearly I wasn't ready.
Yeah. No one's ever brought me coffee, so I wasn't involved in that, but I would have liked to be in the mix. But this makes me think of your next, or connects really nicely to number 3. So
Same thing, just like being humble and being able to learn and soak game.
were you humble? You were humble though. It's like no,
I was humble, but I think I was really, I'm just like eager to like oh, give me shoots, like I want to be on. I think I was a bit too eager. And I think that got in the way of maybe some growth.
That's interesting, because I love the give me anything, that mentality.
Because put it this way, like, again, I think I was here for 9 years or 8. I got to check that. I'm sorry if I'm messing that up. Colleen's here, so she'll check. But I didn't touch my first, like, set until, like, 4 years. It was like 4 years of real training that I'm like very thankful for, but took a lot of years to really get it in. Then I touched my first set, then maybe I did like some co-production, but took a long time.
That's wild. Yeah, I wouldn't have expected that. But we worked on videos before. You
Yeah.
just weren't on sets.
Right.
Okay.
I think it's everyone's dream to be on the set because we're doing the most killer work, right?
Not me.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
I'd
you
rather
made
s-
it. You
I'd-
made it. That's
no,
all.
but I'd rather sit beside you and geek out on a computer than go on set.
Yeah,
Personally.
but that's not what we're being paid for, Max. Use your time wisely.
Okay. No, but I don't know. Set for me was sometimes there's just like so many people and it's like too much energy for me. I just like getting in there. Like I'd much rather get in the editing booth
But
with
think
you
of
or
like
Tim.
that Hockey Canada. Was it the Canadian hockey?
Like a little pitch video we did?
No,
Or no?
you joking?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Dude, one of the biggest jobs we did. The hockey one with where they're flying in the air and the still pitcher takes the. Come on, guys, come on. Nobody knows what I'm talking about.
I got crickets.
Okay, I have to talk about this. This is very important. So it was the World Hockey, Scotiabank World Hockey thing. And then, so basically, it's like they show some kids playing they're playing like stick hockey.
Scotiabank hockey moments.
Dude, massive shoot. Like,
Crazy.
yeah.
Oh, I never worked on anything like
No,
that.
that's what I'm
so,
trying to say.
yeah.
It's like, so when you think of like just someone who's, a freelance videographer going to something like that, that's like major graduation. So this is how I'm looking at, like, this is my world. I know it might seem like, oh, poor me. That's definitely not it. I'm just saying, like, imagine coming from, you're doing little jobs around the office or something like that. That's like a major win for anyone.
Yeah,
That'd be
I understand
equivalent
what
to
you're
you
saying.
winning a pencil or a lion, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I never even have worked on anything of that scale either. So
Yeah.
that's not. But that. I understand what you're saying now. 4 years to get on anywhere on like that scale. But we were making cool shit in like year 1 or year 2.
Yeah,
of you being
definitely.
around. Okay. I don't know what number we're on. Maybe number 4.
Number 4. Know you've heard
Thanks,
this
Neil.
before.
This is a deep cut image. Do you know what that is? Do you know who that is?
That looks like Large Professor.
Yeah.
K-Cut.
And
Is
Sir
this looking out the
Scratch.
front door?
No. Could prepare for double impulse.
Oh, okay.
Faking the funk.
Oh, right. That's what I meant to say. That's right.
But this, do you know them? They're Toronto guys.
Well, I know,
Sir Scratch and K-Cut.
K-Cut.
Yeah.
I know him personally. I never met Large Professor
Well, yeah.
before.
Large Pros, New York, but Sir Scratch and K-Cut, Toronto. This record was, huge for Toronto hip hop. But double imposter syndrome, and there's a typo there. That's okay. No one's that's how you know you're
and
always an
they
imposter.
pay you to write?
They don't. Oh fuck.
Jeez.
We can fix that in real time. But what's double imposter syndrome?
I mean, don't. I want to see your imperfections. Please leave it.
It never ends. So yeah, what is it? What's going on there?
So this is interesting because I think I'm gonna say for the longest time I only started liking my work only 2 years ago, and this is like, I don't know, maybe doing like video creative work for the past, I don't know, 13 years. I only started liking my work, so I always felt like, man, I'm not good enough. I can't put out work. The work isn't great. That means I suck. That means I'm really not a videographer, and maybe I always sucked. Maybe I even suck at DJing.
Yeah,
But you kind
I
of
want to jump in on that.
Yeah.
So when you were DJing, killing it, did you have still some version of imposter syndrome?
No,
You had gotten over it.
no.
Because that's how I kind of took this.
because
as
you're
like,
successful. Your success is going to be based on the money you're making and obviously like the stuff that you're doing. But then coming back down, it's almost like starting as a videographer. Like I started over, and you just kind of are like, man, I'm not good enough. Work isn't good enough.
Yeah, I guess the way I took this, and let me know if I'm wrong. Oh, that design there is also I'm gonna get in trouble for that. But that like everyone has imposter syndrome to a degree. But if you jump lanes, it's like double because you're like.
That's what I'm trying to say. I
Okay,
agree.
okay,
I
that's how I
agree.
took it as.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Hopefully that comes across correctly. But again, I think a lot of it is like you really start to reflect because you want it bad. And I also think too, when you're DJing, a lot of it was like if I put in work, I'll get results. But I think for obviously, design, videography, that wasn't my lane, so I'm new to it, and I wasn't getting the results as quickly as I wanted. And it just started making me feel like, oh man, my work's trash.
Gotcha. Okay, number 5, Jay-Z. Is he in your top 10?
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Be a business man.
Yeah, so that's part of being. I think now that I'm kind of liking where I'm at, now I need to be a businessman if I want to scale my business, and that's where that comes from.
Gotcha.
I'm not going to scale my business standing behind a computer doing edits all day. That's not going to work.
And so you got 11 employees. What's your split of doing versus managing or like running shit?
So I have one PM, and she basically manages everything, and I'm slowly stepping away and just prospecting more.
Awesome. But you're still in it though, doing like
Directing,
shooting, editing,
but not
directing.
really. I'm not shooting. No,
Not shooting, but you're directing like on projects. You're
Right.
still, yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Did you read Decoded? Did you read his book? Jay-Z's? No, you didn't read Decoded? No.
I should though, but I haven't read
I
it.
mean, there's high notes and low notes. Okay, another deep dig. Pick more brands. Why this image?
Yeah, so this is a very important point. So again, looking back, this kind of comes to the story. So remember when we had those, Milfy will know about this, when we used to get up in the morning and come to work, we had those morning meetings, the stand-up meetings, right? I was always late for those meetings, always late. And then
Making mixes for Flow.
I don't know what the fuck I was doing. I was fucking around. But there'd be times when we'd be partying.
You've never like fucked around in your life. You're always doing stuff.
No, but this is the point. I needed to be at work. Now that I understand, I needed to be at work getting serious, not fucking around, right? But anyway, this is a very important point. So anytime that there was a party, and let's say we're getting slammed or we're doing something else, and then it's a morning meeting, who is the first guy at work? Who's the first guy in the office? I'm in. He's always on time for these meetings. And I'm like, how is he doing this? Because we're partying, we're drinking, we're having fun. And then that 9 o'clock meeting, he's there. So really what I felt I should have done to be like, hey, like, what is your mindset? And that really goes to habits. So I think what I've learned from that, or just watching him in, is like the way that you do anything is the way that you do everything.
Oh, that should have been, that could be the quote right there.
Yeah. See, I mean, I was paying attention. You think, Min's like, I've never told him any of this stuff. But yeah, so I just think now when I look back, maybe I should have been like, hey, like, you know, I'm just interested in your business mind. What are you doing? And I'm also saying this too because I'm around a lot of other business people. And a lot of times you might think, oh, this guy's worth $1 billion and he's this. And really, he's not smarter than any one of us. He's just maybe more successful because of his habits. So that kind of really changed my mind about the way I approach life, is just ask a lot of questions, especially if people are successful. It's like, hey, what makes you successful? I see that you're always on time. What's your mindset around that? Because those are the things that are going to change your trajectory.
Gotcha. And the image? Do you know why that image is
Yeah,
there?
Craig, that's Redman from the album. Money, is that Money? No.
No, but the song.
Funkorama?
What's the song? Pick.
Pick it up.
There we
Yeah.
go. Nailed it. Okay. I don't know what number we're on here.
This
but
is a good one.
This was the first one you gave me, I think. 6. Thanks, Neil.
Yeah. I think this one's simple. I don't think it's possible to be successful if you are halfway in something and then halfway in something else. Let's use John Morant, for instance. Is he successful right now? No. He's fucking around. He's toting guns. And the guy has a $200 million contract. Play basketball. Focus on ball. Focus on your game. That's where the success is. But I understand, right? It's hip-hop. Part of hip-hop culture is being cool, being gangster, and he's spending maybe even 15% of his time doing that, and it's not working out. And that's just something I believe. I think that if I want to be a successful business person, I would really have to put down DJing and focus on that, because it's really hard to do both if you want major scale, major success.
So would you say at the beginning years, it slowed you down? Like you were
Absolutely.
working on those mixes for Flow.
Absolutely.
You were coming in late to meetings because you were up all night.
Absolutely.
I think I remember you like literally texting or emailing me being like, oh, I'm going to come in at 10. I got to finish this thing that's going on air at like noon or something.
Right.
I thought that was so wild.
I mean, I was doing 7 shows a day too, so it's kind of hard to understand. Like if you're mixing 7 days, like every day is a different mix. So it's not like you're just putting the songs in the computer and they magically mix themselves. I'm physically making mixes 7 times a day. And it just got to a point where I'm like, not only do I not want to do this anymore, if I want to scale at something, I need to focus on it. I need to immerse myself. And I'm not saying, I don't know if anyone agrees with that. I just believe if that's it's the part of be, do, have. If you want to be something, you have to really be it. You can't be one thing and be something else.
So that's on one end of the spectrum. At the same time, you were talking about like knowing your roots and being able to draw from that. Like I think I saw in your edits like a musicality, like a rhythm that was unique and amazing. So I feel like you were drawing from that skill set. Even though, so one side it's like don't be both of those things, but still tap into your other skill set. Is that true or no? Am I reading this wrong?
No, I think so, but I think
like you're a DJ at your heart. So even though if you're saying don't be a pro DJ, that's still like in you.
I just think in terms of like your perspective, like the way you see things is the way you're gonna see things. I see things from a musical hip hop lens. So everything I do, that's who I am. So I think that's naturally who I'm being. I'm not trying to be anything else.
Gotcha.
So I think in terms of the roots thing, like sure, but it's like a plant. Like I am who I am. I'm just that guy.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. And this image is pretty obvious. And then, I mean, this is probably dovetailing to similar areas, but like, I don't know, what were we talking about for this one? Like, you tell me, I forget.
So I think a lot of times it's kind of very similar. It's like if you really want to break through with anything in life, you have to be uncomfortable.
Yep.
And that's where the success is. It's in uncomfortability,
Right.
if that's a word, but...
Or I could see, like, if you're failing, if you're messing up in your new lane, it's easy to just go back to the thing you're comfortable with.
Right.
Because it's you know it, and whether maybe ego's driving that, or you just feel like shit, and you're like, I'm going to go do the thing I'm good at. But you're saying you got to fight that if you want to actually...
But I think that's a very standard thing in life. If you think of anything like lifting weights, going to the gym, anything in life, you have to be uncomfortable if you want success. If you're comfortable, there's probably no success there.
Gotcha. Okay, I think number 10, I think.
Number 9 should have been number 1 to me.
Okay.
And this is all we've been talking about. It's like kind of failures and embracing it.
Yes, and this is a deep connection to the song. I don't think you can get this, but the other word for failure is wrong.
Oh, dead wrong.
And selfishly, everyone here makes fun of me for being a huge stan. Eminem's on the remix of Dead Wrong. Can you just co-sign? Tell them I'm... No?
Eminem's top 5.
Yes.
Like, everyone agrees. Everyone agrees
No,
with that.
everyone makes fun of me.
No,
Everyone.
Eminem's top 5 for sure.
Yes. Validated.
Can we talk about that? Like, take a side note. What is your top 5?
My top 5?
Yeah.
I mean, Mass Days is probably number 1.
Okay.
Eminem's probably... it's hard for me to put them in order, but Eminem is definitely my number 1 or number 2. I love Last Emperor. I know. I go too weird.
Man, I thought this would be an actual, like... oh, my gosh. You're
I
killing
mean,
me.
Black Thought lately.
Okay, yeah,
You
that's a
listen
good
to
one.
Black Thought's
Yeah.
new album?
Yeah, of
I
course.
texted you about that.
Yeah.
We never talked about it.
He's
though.
phenomenal.
I feel like him and Pusha T have just been doing the same thing for 25 years, but just tightening and tightening. Whereas Eminem's just going like all over the place, trying different shit. So yeah, Black Thought would be up there. I don't know. What do you got? You have it locked?
Yeah. So it's going to be
I should
Jay-Z.
prepare. Yeah. Number 1?
Yeah. Drake.
Okay.
Kendrick.
Yeah.
Nas.
Yeah.
Eminem.
Do you remember going to see Nas with me?
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was crazy.
He's coming back, but I'm like, you and me saw him do Illmatic, start to finish. I don't know if it's going to get better than that.
I mean...
Are you going to go?
I mean, his work is incredible, so why not?
King's Disease, right up, or number 3. I agree. It's like keeping pace. Him, Push T, Black Thought, all in their 50s or maybe 40s. Push T's probably in his 40s. They're all.
But Drake
putting
should
up-
be in your top 5.
musician, yeah. For like,
Are you just saying that because you're afraid you might,
I'm not afraid. I fucked up his first album earlier. I'm afraid people are going to think I'm.
He should be in everyone's top 5. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I heavily agree.
I gotta go back. I do love the M-Rock track that he did. But this one, I guess this one you're saying is obvious. Expect and embrace failure. You're switching lanes.
Yeah.
I guess what I liked about this was I think even if you don't successfully switch lanes, I feel like you could come back to your original lane stronger and more focused. You agree with that or no?
I
No?
do, but I think this whole entire conversation, because I don't know, I wouldn't say I'm doing anything special per se, but I think that I'm able to look back. Like I have an amazing memory. Like I think that's one of sometimes my Achilles heel. I remember everything. So I really look back and be like, okay, why wasn't I successful here? I'm not successful here because of X, Y, Z. I'm gonna change that. So I really embrace failure, and that's led to my success. So I don't mind failing, but I don't know if that is a pathway for everyone else. That's just what works for me.
Can you think of you got that great memory. Can you think of a failure?
Like for what though? Like
Open-ended. What do you got? Anything you looking backwards where you're like,
one time I bought a house in the wrong area and I lost $70,000.
that's a failure?
Yeah.
I like your
But
new-
then I bought 4 more properties and made more money, so I was happy about that.
embraced the failure. And I love where your house is at now. It's sick.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's it. That's 10. I think like we're done. I don't know. Does anyone have any questions or they want to build on anything that we've been talking about here? Yes. Or fact check. Give me a fact check.
Oh, there's.
Business owner, father, creator. How do you stay organized?
Don't mode switch. Has anyone heard the term mode switch? So they basically say, like a lot of people are like, oh, I have like these 3 things to do. One thing might be take out the garbage. And then the other thing is work on the creative. But really what you should do is just not think about even taking out the garbage. Just work on what you got to work on, then take out the garbage, then do something else. Really compartmentalize the time. Because they say when you tried the mode switch, so I'm going to play with the kids, and I'm going to take out the garbage, and I'm going to shovel the snow, and I'm going to hang out with my wife, you're really not getting anything done because you're mode switching.
Gotcha. That's a good.
So I hang out with my
Pro tip.
kids, I do my daughter's violin, I ride my bike, I go to the gym, I do my work.
Which it was so much tougher with like working at home, COVID times to do that. Everything blurred. He also has a PM. You got a sick PM. That
Yeah,
helps.
she's wicked.
PMs are the best. Any other questions? Amin? Oh, we'll start with Amin, then throw the mic up to Jules here.
On? No? Do you have any advice for aspiring DJs?
I didn't hear that. Do you have any advice for aspiring?
DJs?
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
Booked him.
No, well, yeah, that's how I met Amin, because Amin wanted to be a DJ, and then a friend of mine knew him, and he's like, oh, you guys should hang out, and yeah.
So what's the advice?
Oh, man, I think
Is it totally
I
different
think the
now,
timing
or is it
now
the
is
same?
different, because I think if you want to be a DJ, all you need is a laptop and some music. But I think if you want to be a DJ who's known well, you need to bring something new to the table, whether that's like the way you select music or the way that you do your thing. What I find is now when you listen to DJs, everyone just kind of sounds the same because they're just playing MP3s. But that's not really the element of DJing. Really, the element of DJing is entertaining a crowd and bringing them through an experience. But that's almost lost now. Like, when was the last time you've heard a DJ and been like, oh my gosh, this guy is super incredible and I feel something emotional to it?
If you had to start up right now today, restart, what would be your thing that you bring to the table? Your thing.
I would say being different, like doing something to be different.
Outfit, you'd go like,
No, I mean like in the craft. A lot of these guys have purple hair and funky shoes. That's not it though. That's not DJing. DJing is almost the relationship between the music and the people you were DJing for.
Jules, what do you got?
Yo, so great conversation.
Thank you.
This is kind of a related question to one that went before, but what's your advice for that young creative who hasn't actually picked a lane, or who's dabbling in all manner of little things but hasn't actually committed to one, discipline?
I think we talked on that. I think it's just do one thing. I think that's what I wish I was doing when I started. I'm not sure if anyone remembers Jumper. Does anyone remember Jumper? He used to work here.
He taught the iPhone Labnotes that I was referenced at the beginning, how to take a sick
Yeah.
iPhone photo.
So, and let me know if I get this story right. So his parents gave him Photoshop when he was 11. Is that true?
They also had it. I think they had it in school too. But yeah. He was
Right.
early.
And then that's all he was doing. And now he's been an amazing designer, but like, look at him. So, and again, I'm not saying this is for everyone. I just think that you need to just try to pick one thing and really stick to it and really hone on it.
Nice. Any other questions? Colleen, did you figure out how long P was here for? No. Come on. Long time. Yes.
Oh, more questions from Corin.
There we go.
Do you have any regrets?
No, none.
You're too positive.
I don't know, but I don't think I would have been here.
P plus.
I
Plus is-
wouldn't be here where I am now unless it was for the whole journey. So I'm totally thankful for it. Like, I'm happy I left radio. I'm happy I got the opportunity to grind it out here. I still have amazing relationships with a ton of the people, and there would be no way for me to be where I'm at, especially on the business end. Like, I knew nothing about any form of business before I got here, and kind of just watching the way things would work, asking people questions, asking the program manager questions is always like, hey, what's going on? I just wish I did more of that, but there'd be no way I would be where I'm at without this grind, so I don't regret anything.
I just realized you're the most positive person I know, and P plus is positive. Come
Maybe
on.
that's what it means. I don't know.
Anything
P
else?
plus.
I remember.
my
I
gosh.
remember when Steve did my first review. I have the craziest memory.
Tell us about it
No,
before he
it
asks his question.
No,
It
don't
was
maybe.
bad. But he did my review. It was pretty not good.
Steve, hello. What's your question?
Hello.
So my question to you
Yeah.
is, now that you have your own company, what did you take from your 9 years at One Method? From
Everything.
culture, from values, and what have you sprinkled
Everything. I
into-
think the biggest thing I took is when you're working with like people who are younger, not necessarily in age, just in skill, you need to be patient, because I could see sometimes they're pushing back, and all I see is me giving you, Lionel and Steve, issues on like whatever. Like, I'll do it this way, and you're like, but that's not good for the client. I'm like, but it's cool, fuck that. And you're like, nah, but that's not what it is. So now I'm going through the same thing, and I understand, so I'm patient.
Patience is, yeah, man, that's killer. I feel like there was patience in
Yeah,
the
you have to
mix
have a
here.
lot of patience with me, for sure, all you guys.
I feel like you had patience for me, though, too. I think we had a good thing.
You're
no?
a star, you're a star.
Yeah, get out of here. Anyone else? No. Well, it was such a treat for me. I learned stuff about you. I learned the neighborhood you grew up in, which apparently I never knew. Didn't know you were the oldest of 6 or oldest of 7. And yeah, I loved all your tips. Like, I connected with a lot of them. And as someone, I've changed lanes, not nearly on a grand scale as you, but within the same highway, I've changed lanes a few times, and some of that, like, I wish I knew for sure in advance. So P, thank you so much. Sean, thank you. This is such a treat for me. We've never got, it's been since we've had kids, I don't think we've sat down for an hour and chatted.
No,
So
we
this
used
is
to do
such
this
a
all the
dream.
time. We should do it more often.
I know, this is an absolute dream.
Yeah, but thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Of course. And of course, I'm guessing if anyone has questions, they could maybe email you or something if they got a follow-up.
Sure. You'll probably see me around the office being a One Method bum again.
Nice. Well, we love you, man. Thanks for coming. And thanks, everyone, awesome for coming. Awesome. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Neil.